This tutorial guides you through the process of creating a new subject in Visier called Expense Report. By creating this subject, you will be able to track and analyze employee expense spending. The tutorial covers the steps to add properties, dimensions, and concepts to the subject, load data for the subject, and generate a data version. We will also go over a new sample application that you can use after you've finished this tutorial, which will enable you to use our Alpine APIs to access the expense report data programmatically through JavaScript. We can determine if Visier has already modeled our business question by looking at the analytic objects available. To do this, we can follow these steps. 1. Click on Projects on the global navigation bar. 2. Open the production project. 3. Click on Model, Analytic Objects in the project. 4. Look through the list of analytic objects and their descriptions to see if there's an object that represents what we want to analyze. We can use a keyword search, such as expense, to find any expense-related objects in the model. If no results are found, it means the object doesn't exist in the model, and we will need to create it. To create a project in the studio experience, which will serve as a workspace for our work, we can follow these steps. 1. Click on Projects, New Project on the global navigation bar. 2. In the New Project dialog, give the project a name and description. For example, Onboard Expense Report, with a description of Creating Expense Report Subject and related objects. 3. Click on Create. Now, we can proceed to create the necessary objects for our analysis, starting with the expense report subject. 1. In the Onboard Expense Report project, click on Model, Analytic Objects. 2. Click on Create Analytic Object. 3. Select Subject as the analytic object type. 4. Enter Expense Report as the display name. 5. Provide a description for the subject. 6. Click on Create. Once the subject is created, we can configure its settings, such as tags, events, and captions. We can also add references to other objects, like the employee subject, to establish relationships between different objects. Next, we need to create the properties associated with the expense report subject, such as expense report ID, currency code, date created, etc. These properties are considered simple properties. We can follow these steps to create them. 1. In the expense report subject, click on Create Attribute, Property under the Attributes tab. 2. Select Simple as the attribute type. 3. Enter the display name, object name, data type, and description for each property. 4. Click on Done when finished. We also need to create a leveled dimension called Report Status to analyze the status of expense reports. This dimension will have a single level called Report Status, with values such as created, submitted, approved, and paid. We can follow these steps to create the leveled dimension. 1. In the expense report subject, click on Create Attribute, Dimension under the Attributes tab. 2. Select Leveled as the dimension type. 3. Optionally, turn on Make Dimension Shared to use the dimension with other analytic objects in the future. 4. Enter Report Status as the display name and provide a description for the dimension. 5. Click on Done. By following these steps, we can create a project to hold our work, create the necessary objects like the expense report subject and its properties, and create a leveled dimension for analyzing report statuses. After you've finished setting this up, you can also inspect and validate the expense report properties in the sample application base layer 2 with this API call. To create a metric in Visier, do the following. 1. In the studio experience, open a project and navigate to Model greater than Metrics. 2. Search for and select full-time equivalents. 3. Replace the values in the formula with the values specified for total value of expense reports. Once the metric formula is created, follow these steps to create the metric in Visier. 1. In the Onboard Expense Report project, click Model greater than Metrics. 2. Click Create Metric and type the necessary details in the dialog. Additionally, create an additional metric called Total Count of Expense Reports to validate the report status data. Then finish setting up the new metric as previously described. After confirming that data has been loaded, commit the changes to the project. Once the data version is set, commit the changes and preview and validate the data in the solution by building visualizations in the analyses room. After validating the data, publish the project so that the changes are available in production. This process enables you to create new analytic objects, load data, and set up the analytic model in the Visier solution. Once completed, you can start building analyses and continue creating more objects to support your business questions. You'll be able to view, query, and manipulate the expense reports via API, and use them for further analysis as well.